everybody. All right, we're about to go live on Facebook, everybody. Here we go.
Hey, Cody, give me a call out to this meeting, please.
I believe we are recording and we are live. Go ahead, Mr. Receiver.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kapoor, and thank you to the committee for joining us here today. Good afternoon. My name is Michael Dowry. I serve as receiver for the city of Chester. Today is Tuesday, March 28th, 2023. We are joined here today to have the Municipal Financial Recovery Advisory Committee meeting, joined here virtually by Mr. Andrew Sheaf on behalf of the Governor's Office and the Department of Community and Economic Development. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon. Afternoon. Unfortunately, Ms. Kelly Diaz, on behalf of Delaware County Council, will not be able to join us here today. She did forward us a notice sometime last week saying that there's a scheduling conflict. But on behalf of the city of Chester, we are joined here today by Mayor Kirkland and Councilman Will Morgan. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
And as always, assisted by my executive assistant, Cody Dale, on behalf of the Department of Community and Economic Development, and Mr. Kapoor, Vijay Kapoor, on behalf, serving as Chief of Staff on this engagement. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
All right, so we will jump right in. Our first item of business is public comment. Mr. Dale, would you mind addressing?
Sure. So since our last meeting, actually on the day of our last meeting, we received about 125 comments, but they were all actually copied and pasted. It was the same message came through over and over, just in regards to the ongoing situation with the CWA and the litigation, and also the seeking to repeal Act 12. So it was a lot of reaching out to public officials, elected officials, and we were just included on some of those messages. So it was nothing pertaining to our work here with this committee. We encourage the public to continue to reach out to our email address directly at info@chesterreceivership.com with any comments pertaining to the work here with this committee.
Thank you, Mr. Dale, and thank you for sharing those with the committee along with the agenda and everything else last week in the meeting minutes. From here, we'll jump into the status of the recovery plan. Mr. Kapoor, would you mind sharing?
Sure, Mr. Receiver. I have a presentation regarding the contracting for IT services, and I have a little bit of an update in that as well. So I would probably be best to go through that. And so if you all had any other updates that you wanted to do before I did that, it would probably be best.
Thank you for that. It makes sense. So then we'll jump into our next agenda item, which is a brief update from me before we begin today's presentation. As always, I want to encourage folks to visit the City of Chester's website. Currently, we are actively recruiting for a CFO/finance director. That posting is being handled by a third party, Appian, but a link to that search is available through the city's website. That posting does close at the end of this month, so there are only 3 days left. Please, if you're interested or if you know someone who is qualified for the position, please see to it that they apply in the next few days. Also want to bring attention to the assistant solicitor position. This is another job posting that's been up for some time. We're going to continue to leave it up until we see some activity on this one, but we do need, the city does need some additional help in the solicitor's office, and there's a job posting out there for that. There are several other vacancies, and I would encourage all to frequently check out the city's website for the latest openings or vacancies with the city. Also want to mention, well, actually, I'll defer that to the presentation. I think you're going to hit my next 2 points there, Mr. Kapoor. So does anyone have any questions for me before we jump into today's presentation? All right, well, hearing none, I will, I'm not sure if that was something there. I will yield the balance of my time here, or the time here, to Mr. Kapoor for today's presentation.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Receiver. Let me go ahead and put this up. Can everybody see the screen? All right, great. Good afternoon to the committee. Good afternoon to the members of the public. What we have for you today is on the agenda is to talk about another operational need that the city has, and that is contracting for information technology or IT services. At the last presentation, at the last MFRAC, I wanted to just follow up on two items that were kind of at the core of that. And that was the parking RFP and the hiring of an individual to serve as the Deputy Director of Inspectors. Happy to report progress on both of those fronts. The parking RFP has been released, and it can be found at the website we have here, www.chestercity.com/notices. You will see the RFP will be able to be downloaded there. There will be an opportunity for vendors to ask questions via email. And again, we hope to see a lot of bids on this, a lot of responses on it, so that we can move forward in that area. Another positive note is that the Deputy Director of Inspectors has been hired. Same individual that we noted at the MFRAC presentation last time. Her first day on the job was Monday, and so we look forward to her getting several programs off the ground and really kind of moving forward in the codes and the code enforcement area here in the city. Those were two positive aspects. What I do bring for the committee today is an area that wasn't moved forward, or an item that wasn't moved forward at the last city council meeting. One that we think is of importance to at least bring to the MFRAC and to discuss here, again, similar to how we discussed with the parking RFP and the Deputy Director of Inspectors. And that was last week's council meeting, council not moving forward on the approval of a contract for IT services. And again, receivers bringing this attention to the MFRAC in the event that we need to take further action. To kind of take a step back and let folks know what's really going on here, what's the genesis of all this, what's the need of all this for the city, is that the city is in desperate need of contracting for IT services using a third party. So IT is basically your computer system. It's like your network, your email, your phones. It's how many, how we mostly communicate. It's literally what we're doing right now as well. The city does not have its own IT department. It does not have internal staff that comprise an IT department, and instead it relies on a third party, basically another company, to manage its system, which is not unheard of. The issue is the last contract the city has had with its current vendor expired several years ago. So we do have a contracting issue with respect to the IT services that are being provided now. Separate and apart from the contracting issue, just substantively speaking, the city needs significant investment in its IT infrastructure and its systems. For example, right now the city does not have a backup to its email server. So that if an email is deleted by any user, it's gone forever. That's very unusual in a city. For right-to-know requests and other items, you usually have some type of backup email server so that you can recover emails. City of Chester does not have that. Another significant concern here is, in light of the phishing incident that occurred earlier this year, the city's chief of staff has been exploring getting cyber insurance coverage. This is insurance that would protect the city in the event it fell victim again to another cyber or phishing attack. In that attempt, this chief of staff has learned that we are not able to receive that insurance coverage until the city upgrades its system. And again, that's something that we need a third party to be able to do. That's not something that the city is going to be able to do with existing staff. So there is a significant need here for IT services. And if you look at it on slide 5, I mean, this is sort of the whole suite of services that we're looking at, that the chief of staff in the city has identified as being needed. So desktop applications, that's your general computer, the server, network administration, security maintenance, the telephone system, making sure staff is trained on it, strategic planning to make sure that we have the equipment that we need going forward, having a help desk, records preservation. That's what I was talking about with respect to email and other items, making sure we have the right hardware via computer inventory and disposal, and also putting together like a 5-year plan for replacement of hardware as well as security. So you know, a lot of services over here, a lot of very important services that are obviously critical to the city's you know, ongoing operations. Now, when we talk about contracting for IT services, the city, because of the type of services these are, the city really has one of two options. One is it can go through an RFP process. The other option is that it can select vendors from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania's CoStars program. And for those of you who don't know, CoStars is a cooperative purchasing program, basically where vendors are pre-qualified by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania's Department of General Services. And so municipalities, nonprofits that sign up, they can actually obtain services using vendors that are on the CoStars list without needing to have to go through a full-blown RFP process. Those vendors, as part of being CoStars qualified, have gone through a RFQ process or something similar to that, which allows them to comply with the procurement laws that apply to municipalities, such as the city of Chester. The other benefit of the CoStars program, in addition to, like, you know, time, because you can go directly to those vendors, is also money, because oftentimes what vendors will do as being part of that program, the proposals that they make with respect to their hourly rates tend to be lower, because again they're looking to secure these contracts. So it is a process or a program that many Pennsylvania municipalities use. The city of Chester is a registered member. Many other third-class cities use CoStars, and again, it's something out there that saves a lot of time and saves money. So to take you through a little bit of you know, kind of what has happened here with the IT contract, and to get us up to speed of where we are today, so that the committee can discuss this, is back in December of last year, Chief of Staff Leonard Leitner, you know, as part of his duties, you know, realized that we needed to move forward with, you know, securing an IT vendor, again, with a contract that is up to date. And so he went out and started contacting CoStars approved IT vendors to solicit interest in contracting with the city. That's actually encouraged as part of the CoStars program to reach out to vendors to see if they're interested. And so he began to do that. Just a note here, the city's current IT vendor is not registered with CoStars. So between December of last year and February of this year, the city received proposals from IT services from some of these CoStars vendors. Despite the fact that the current vendor is not a member of CoStars, the city invited them to submit a proposal as well. And so what was developed in February of 2023 of this year was a committee that was made up both of council members, of elected officials, staff, and members of the receiver team, as well as an outside individual who is quite well versed in the IT world, to take a look at the proposals that were placed in, to review them and to internally score them. Now, this is not using, again, the third-class city code RFP process. This is again using the CoStars process and the CoStars group. And so the members of that committee were Councilman Morgan, Councilman Roots, Kyle Batneri, who is in the police department, Greg Schaefer from the receivers team, and Chris Smith, who was I think Associate Vice President for IT Services with Widener University. So Mr. Batneri handles a lot of the IT type aspect there for the police department. Mr. Schaefer from the receivers team has been focused a lot on operations, and again, Mr. Smith from Widener this is basically his job at Widener University. So towards the end of February 24th, Chief of Staff Leitner emails the scoring committee a welcome and an invitation to a pre-scoring meeting for February 27th of 2023. That meeting was held. The purpose of that was to provide them with kind of scoring sheets, answer any questions that they may have, in order to, again, to evaluate the various proposals that the city received. On March 1st, the scoring meeting took place at 2 p.m. Via Zoom, and it ended at 4. And the committee, based on their scoring, recommended a vendor which was different than the current vendor. On March 10th, Chief of Staff Leitner requested that City Council add the awarding of the IT contract to that company with the highest score to the agenda. The IT contract was on the City Council's deliberative agenda on March 20th. And then on March 22nd, City Council tabled the IT resolution for this company. And that is kind of where it stands now. So, where we are now is that the city has an expired IT contract with its current vendor. Obviously, the needs the city has in IT are serious. They need to be addressed immediately. City had a committee that included council members that recommended a CoStars approved vendor who is qualified and who is able to provide the necessary services. And the city's chief of staff requested that the city council vote to contract with his vendor. So, that is the situation as we understand it, as has been provided to us based on questions that we asked the city's chief of staff. And again, bringing it to the committee here for discussion to see again how we might be able to resolve this so that we can get a IT contractor qualified on as soon as possible to address the city's IT needs. And that is all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Kapoor. Go back to the full screen here. Oh, thank you. All right. Thank you for the presentation. Opening it up to the committee for any questions. No questions from the committee. I'll just offer a comment that we have a CoStars vendor ready to move forward. We have the recommendation of the committee, and we've met all the legal requirements to engage this vendor, short of City Council ratifying the resolution. Does anybody, if there are no other comments on this, we will continue on. Mr. Kapoor, you did address my 2 other updates in the opening of your presentation there. I guess before we wrap up today, are there any questions, comments, concerns from the committee members?
Yeah, just one, Mr. Receiver. Mr. Kapoor, you said that the current IT company did have an opportunity to put forth an RFP.
My understanding is they did submit a proposal, yes.
My understanding is that they did not, and I had that conversation with Mr. Leitner as well. There was a letter, I think, that they produced, but they were not asked to provide an RFP. That's one of my concerns. We have a current IT group here, and I just focus on the fairness. If they were not provided an opportunity to put forth an RFP, I just wanted to know why.
But just just to clear up some terminology, it's the city that would issue a request for proposals. The current vendor was contacted and asked if that request was made to the vendor. What they submitted in return would be their proposal or a letter of interest, whatever they submitted on their behalf. But the vendor does not submit the RFP. The vendor submits a proposal or whatever they would like to submit on their behalf. But the request from Chief of Staff to the vendor did go out.
Well, that's not the conversation that I had with the Chief of Staff. They did not, my understanding is they did not receive an RFP.
Well, somehow you received a letter. So they just on their own, just so happened in the same timing, submitted a letter of interest, but nobody contacted them to say that we were considering proposals. That doesn't line up.
It's accurate. And we had our conversation with Mayor and Council, the Chief of Staff yesterday, and of course myself and Councilman Roots, who was a part of the committee. We had a discussion within that meeting yesterday. So we know that IT is important as far as moving this forward. We most certainly will be looking to bring on an IT vendor to help us advance what we need here in the city of Chester. We most certainly are looking to move this forward as soon as possible internally, working with the Chief of Staff and things like that. But as mentioned, the current IT vendor did not get the same RFP scope of work as the co-stars vendors. So, which is why we had some conversations internally with the Chief of Staff. And I do think they will look to reconvene the committee to have more discussion, but most certainly this is something that we're going to move forward with.
So the statement there was that two different requests went out to the co-stars vendors. They received one request, and to the existing provider, they received a different request.
They provided a proposal based on the services that the city needs.
Right. Well, I didn't mean what they submitted in response. I'm saying what went out from the city, the request. Are you saying two different requests went out from the city?
That's possible. Yes. I'm not sure exactly. I didn't make the request to the IT vendor. So okay. I don't exactly know what terminology was asked for or what was used.
Okay. It's my understanding that all parties received the same request. So if there's a different request that was submitted to the co-stars vendors and then another one to the existing vendor, that doesn't add up, but it doesn't. I'd love to hear more information on that.
It doesn't.
All right. Well, so we have a co-stars vendor that is ready to go. We have a city in a vulnerable situation, and we're saying we need more time to digest it. Could the city electeds, could you commit to what that timeline would be?
Currently, I don't think that we can commit, but we met yesterday. Everybody met yesterday, and I know what I'll do after this call is I'll reach out to the Chief of Staff and see how we can reconvene with myself, Councilman Roots, and the committee as well. But again, this is important to us. It's urgent for us as well. So we'll definitely look to move forward.
Is the intention to have it back on the city council agenda for the next meeting?
I can't answer that just yet.
All right. Well, I think we have what we need here for today, gentlemen. Is there anything else that anyone on the committee would like to discuss?
No, I just have a regular comment though.
Floor is yours.
All right. So I just want to make the public or whomever may be watching notice of this, that here in the city of Chester, we're recognizing, or want to be made aware that we're going to be recognizing autism awareness. So on April 29th, the city of Chester will be having an autism awareness walk on down at Super Bowl Park. From the knowledge that I have, there isn't really an awareness or a walk or a march countywide. So we are pushing this out throughout the Delaware County and invite all from the city of Chester, from Delaware County, to please come out and attend. We do have a flyer posted on our website and social media asking for those who intend to walk to register so that you can we can champion your team and those that are dealing with autistic individuals within their families. So again, it's April 29th, Saturday, I believe it's from 10 to 1. And just please go on our website and register if you plan on partaking, I guess, in the walk.
Thank you, Councilman. Is there anything, does anyone else have anything to share before we part today?
Yes, I just want the listening public to know if they would like to see the resolutions pertaining to the parking management request. I have both of them in front of me right now, and if they would like to see them, please, I like folks to come in. I have an open door policy so that they can see the one that we tabled, and they can also see the one that we passed. I invite folks to come on in.
And I think you're referring to the discrepancy of whether or not the entire city was included in the study. The resolution did not properly reflect, the first resolution did not properly reflect what was included in the RFP, but thank you for that. Does anyone else have anything? All right, well, thank you all. Thank you for today. We will reconvene on the second Tuesday of April. Thank you. Have a good day.